before I get into this next video, because it's not all fun, let me get myself a beverage here. I may need this. Maybe a little stronger. Something to make that a little smoother. Cheers. All right. We got problems. I don't think they're major problems, but we got problems. Maybe I didn't actually post about it yet, I don't know, or put it in this video, but what had happened is the day before I took it to the dyno, I hurt the car. I thought it was a head gasket. Turns out it was actually a bent rod. Actually, it was 8 bent rods, but one of them was in really bad condition. So fresh set of rods. I did replace the pistons. Kind of had to. I could have just bought one piston, but I replaced them all and put a set in there. Here's a quick view with the oil pump out of the way. It's pretty humorous. There is a considerable bend in that rod. That's number 3. It's very good. It's very good. I am going to suggest that many of these are bent. Just that happens to be the worst of them. Again, oil pump out of the way. This number 5 doesn't look perfectly straight either, but I don't think it really matters at this point. I'm not messing around with these rods anymore. All right, let's get it apart so I can see that bore. We are mid rebuild for this thing. We're getting basically just getting new rods and pistons and putting them in. I might have been able to salvage the pistons, but I'm making a change there as well just to make sure everything lives in the future. Crank seems to be good. Block is okay, but connecting rods not so good. So what do we have? Well, this, and pardon my mess. If you can't tell, I have to do a lot with just a little bit in here. I've got a garage packed to the gills full of stuff, with really nowhere to put anything. So forgive the piles. This is the way it is, and I'm gonna live with it. So this is what we've got. These are the scat connecting rods that were in the engine. You can see I've noted it as bent. All of these are bent. All 8 are bent. Not very they were not very happy in there. This is actually the rod that came in the engine when I bought it. It's a scat. They have several different rods. I'm not sure which one this is. This is like a Pro I-beam. This is their strongest I-beam. This is the Telltale one. Ooh, look at that bad boy. Well, this one was obviously the worst. Nice little S-bend in there. This was also the only one that it might be hard to tell. I hope the camera is focusing on it, but I don't know. But you can see the pin moving in the pin bore in there because it has seized onto the small end of the rod. This is the damage that it actually caused on the piston. Not actually that bad. Keeping in mind, I think it was only this bad for 1 or 2 dyno sessions, maybe. Dyno pulls, I should say. The rods, though, are junk. I'm going to scrap all of those. What am I going to replace those with is the question, and it's going to be this set of Oliver rods right here. Got a nice Oliver box here. They come very nicely. I've had several sets of Olivers for different engines in the past. They always work well for me. It's a very nice rod. It is also an I-beam design like the Scat. I think the biggest difference, first, these rods are heavier. On my scale, these things were 612 grams, I think. The Scat rods are like 540, so there's simply more material in these, making them a bit stronger. This beam design, I think they call it their parabolic beam. I don't remember, but it it works out really nice. It's got a lot of strength in a little I-beam rod like this. This is their standard light rod. You know, I really only need it to support a little more horsepower than the other ones did, so these should be just fine. They do come with ARP 2000 rod bolts with a, I shouldn't say unique, but I think I remember in the past Oliver always providing a torque spec for these, and now they've got a torque plus angle spec, which is fine. I've got all the tools, I can make that happen and go in. So I'm going to run them through the rod vise here, torque them to spec a couple of times, and then measure them against my crankshaft so that I'm ready to bring them in. Like I said, I will have the new pistons in this week. I've got the rods for it. I've already got, you know, new rings, support rails. I've already taken this one out because I wanted to measure the clearance on the pins, which, you know, these are Oliver rods. They're all spot on, but these are upgraded pins, circlips, things like that that I'm putting this thing back together with. So without further ado, I'm gonna get to it, run through these, make sure everything's good, and I don't know, hopefully get it all balanced up in the next week or so. Thanks. Now, that rod was bent at 934. It would have done more than 934, but how much? I don't know. 950, maybe 975, maybe 1,000. I really doubt it. This one I might be able to squeak out 1,000, but without some other changes, we'll see. I think the changes to the intake, the slight changes to the heads will get me pretty close. All right, well, listen, that's what I've got. I'm gonna go ahead and button this thing up and try and get an engine together. This engine has line-to-line coating on the piston skirts, and they tell you with that the first time you, maybe not the first time you start it, but pretty much the first time you start it and start trying to use it, that there's a little break-in cycle, and it's basically that you put the engine under some load and hold it there for a period. Basically accelerating through a gear at like 30% throttle, you know, and then give it some time to idle and sit and relax. Then do that again at like 40%, 50, 60%, you know, and what that does is it helps wear away the skirts, because they call that an abradable coating. It actually comes with the piston skirts a little bit larger than what you actually are going to end up with. So going through that break-in cycle, it really only takes a short amount of time. So then you need to change your oil filter. So I've already been through that. It really only took a trip around this little loop I have that's a few miles. Then I brought it home, changed the filter, but I still have break-in oil in it. So I'm hoping to get a few more miles on it, let the rings seat in